Hello, one and all. I decided to make this recording to speak about Victoria 3 and some of the things that are being said about it that are just, they're blatantly wrong. One of the things you have to understand is a lot of people played Victoria 2 and they come into it with the mindset of, well, Victoria 2 played this way, therefore Victoria 3 should play this way. And Victoria 3 does not play like Victoria 2. Victoria 3 and Victoria two's relationship is kind of like the relationship of Civilization 2 and Civilization 6. They're the same game, they're the same series. They deal with the same things. They use the same terms. They have buildings, cities, civilizations, but they're two completely different games that play completely differently. And you can see games that do this. One game that you can find World War II games. One will play it one way, another play it a different way, but they both go at the game from a different standpoint. And because they go from a different standpoint, they play differently. Doesn't mean one's better than the other. It just means they have different philosophies and different ways of simulating the same thing. Some of the things I have seen, it really is. It's funny. It's sad, but it's funny. I'm going to go through one. One guy said, well, there's no such thing as westernization. Now, if you go here to the Japanese shogunate, you see that's an unrecognized major power. Japan at this time was very rural, kind of, it wasn't, it was very rural and very isolated. It was not cut off from the rest of the world the way people think, but it was very isolated and had an isolation policy. In Vic 2, you could hit this button, you'd spend all your research and uh, into this one thing called westernization. Archcast, go look him up. He made this video. And he says, well, there's no such thing as that. And technically speaking, he's right. There is no single button that just turns the Japan into some power equivalent to the more normal, what we consider the major powers. It's not there. Instead, what you do as a country is you research the same things like here America, it has railways. Well, if you want railways as Japan, you research it. uh, Japan has serfdom and all these other backwards politics. Well, in this game you research to get rid of serfdom and abolish it, and you get rid of, your primitive one guy rules, and you get rid of different things to bring yourself up. There's no one button, because what happened in Vic 2, you researched westernization and then you just got all that. With this game, you have to do research all that. You have to do all that. So, yeah, I guess in a way it's harder. Uh, for me, it's a lot more fun, but okay. Maybe you want easy. Okay. Another thing I've seen is in this game, when you want to tax somebody, Victoria 3, you're going to tax somebody, you go to your budget and you set high, medium, low. Okay. In Victoria 2, there was a slider, and you had sliders based upon who made what money. You're rich, you're middle class, or you're poor. And so you could, okay, I want to tax my poor 10%. I want to tax my middle class 30%. I want to tax my rich people 100%. Well, that's not really very realistic. Governments don't do that. What you do though, you could set consumptive tax. You could say, do you want medium, high, or low taxes? And how you tax people is based upon, like in the real world, your laws. America right now has per capita tax. We have a little bit of land tax, meaning You live on the land, you got to pay. A land-based tax, see, it's really a lot higher. Income tax is lower. So a rich person, hey, yeah, I got land. I'm going to pay a half a pound or dollar, whatever this is, a little bit of income tax, per capita tax, a little bit more fair because now that rich person's paying a little bit more on their income, a little bit more on what they use, and the poor person that's barely surviving, they don't have to pay as much. So that's something that I've seen people complain about. Well, you can't do that. Well, yeah, you can. Another thing I've seen, and this one tickles me, is they complain laissez-faire is this economy idea that the government doesn't intervene in the workings of the economy. They don't build buildings, stuff like that. So, well, you're the player and you're building buildings, therefore you can't really do laissez-faire. The problem with that is, as the player, you're not the government. You don't play as the government. You don't play as any one person. You don't play as the the government or a single individual or one group. One person has put it, and I kind of don't like this term, but I don't know any other way to say it. You play as the spirit of the nation. You play as the circumstances that cause things. Maybe you want to say you play as the subconscious mind behind everything. So when I go in and I say, okay, I want to build more food industry in Iowa. It's not the government's ordering that. It's not the president's ordering that. Maybe it's a capitalist doing that. Maybe it's the local people getting together and saying, we want this. Maybe it's something that just springs up because somebody wants it. If you don't want to control things in a game, don't play a game. Watch videos. That's the only thing I can tell you. So this idea that, well, because the player does it, there can't be laissez-faire. Actually, the way the game does it is really brilliant. There is laissez-faire because because as the player, you work. You're not the government. You work through the government. So under a laissez-faire, like right now, under interventionism, we can subsidize any building. The government can say, okay, um, that food industry is, boy, it's not making a lot of money. The government's going to start subsidizing it. Well, if I had laissez-faire, wrong, that's trade policy. If I had laissez-faire, it says yes, can subsidize infrastructure and trade centers. I can, in, I can't, I cannot subsidize other buildings. The government can't. So you lose the as a player you lose that tool because the government can't. So guess what? Laissez-faire actually works. Another complaint I've had is right here. Well, capitalists aren't in the game. Actually, yes, they are. In fact, it shows you right there they are. In Victoria 2, a capitalist would run around. You wouldn't see him on the map, and I'm going to come back to that. But capitalists were people that once you had certain laws and had developed a certain point, they had run around on the map and build stuff, and you had no control over it. You had no control over what they were doing to your economy. And again, I'm going to come back to that. Remember that. Well, what they've done in Victoria 2 is now I don't want to put this out. The capitalists didn't build nothing. They provided the money to build something. Guess what they do in Victoria 2? The exact same thing. If you go up here, you have something called an investment pool. And over time, when you have the right laws and you have the right industry, this pool builds up money. In fact, under laissez-faire, if you remember, if you saw it, you go right here, they add 50% more. They contribute 50% more. So if they we're going to contribute 100, they'll contribute 150. And what happens is when you build something, it costs money. Well, instead of the government paying for it, because this is kind of the government's bounce, it comes out of that investment pool. That's how that's represented in this game. Does that mean, well, that's the wrong way of doing it? Who said, I don't see how you can say that. Just because you don't have people running around on the screen or even behind the scenes building something that you're not control of. Again, if you don't want to control a game, watch videos. You don't have to control nothing in that. Okay, but because this is a game. Okay, so there are capitalists, and we talked about command economy. Now, we talked about no westernization. Now, here's I'm going there. Oh boy, the war system. War in this game is very, very different. Let me get off this screen and so you can see something. There's a battle right here. Texas and Mexico are battling it out. In Victoria 2, you controlled armies and units and you move them around on the map. In this game, you don't do that. Okay? I don't. uh, To me, it's not a problem. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to start a diplomatic, and this is nothing a lot of people don't like. You just don't declare war on somebody. What you do is you go in here, and we're going to, right here, we're going to conquer state, and we're going to confirm, and that starts what's called a diplomatic play. Okay? And it gives nations an opportunity to react to now right now the only person that a country that's looking to maybe come in is Texas. And what happened? Oh, this is something that can happen. Okay, I didn't expect that. Mexico said, "Oh crap, the United States going to war with us. They saying they want Texas. Okay, we're just going to give them Texas." And we have a truce now, so I can't go to war with them. All right, fine. We'll go to war with Canada. We're going to come right here, or Lower Canada. I'm going to go to Canada. We'll go down here. Not seeing make a diplomatic diplomacy. I want to make a diplomatic play. Now, this is one of the problems. There's so much that often you get lost in how do I do this? And they don't put manuals out with games anymore. I grew up, you bought a game, you got a manual, you could sit and read, it gave instructions. They don't do that. See here it says right there, Mexico back down. So they, well, thanks. They just gave me the other half of Texas. Appreciate that. Wonder what that's going to do to the troops. And you see the front line. Okay. Well, anyway, so that you saw for a minute, the little timer builds down. I don't think there's any other one anywhere. There's all these little battles going on. The timer builds down, and you mobilize your troops. We're going to go to our military screen here. Now, the way this works is you have barracks, and these barracks provide one battalion per barracks, and they go like all this. You can see right here, all that, every one of those states that they put their barracks, all the troops go right here to a headquarters called Dixie. Here's New England. If I can hover over it again. Well, if I can get over it. There it is. Well, it was there for a minute. There it is. Okay. And you can see I've got a commander there. He's got 25 naval units. I got an army. He doesn't have three. Here's the Midwest. Now, one thing I do not like is currently that I have no way, currently, because I do think this is something they'll change. I have no way of taking those three units and combining them with these three units. I think that's stupid. Don't like that. On the other hand, why would you need to? I can actually, having played the game, see some situations where you need to, but more often than not, the these troops will defend Midwest. If there's a war, and like Upper Canada here declares war and starts attacking, there's going to be a front here. To get these troops over to the front, all I got to do is give them a general. And then they're there with those three units. So, because troops aren't on the map, they're really not on the map, but their effect is on the map. If somebody invaded anywhere in here right now, these guys are going to fight. I don't have to do nothing. They're going to fight. If I go to war with Great Britain, or well, that's a bad example. If I go to war with Mexico, a front's going to happen, and I'm going to assign the units to the front, and they're going to go to the front. It takes time. They don't teleport there. Now, one of the complaints I've seen is, well, you don't see them marching across the land, and why do you need to see that? The same people, by the way, who say, well, the game doesn't have capitalist, that they could never see, running around doing stuff that they didn't have control of, are the exact same people saying, well, I can't see the army units and I don't have control of them, therefore it's bad. I think, and I noticed too, you don't see naval units. Now, like I'm going to take this guy, Isaac Cole. You see him right here. He's got 25 naval flotillas. I'm going to put him. I'm going to tell him to patrol my coast. I'm going to tell him to patrol the coast of the United States, to control the post of Dixie, because want to protect ourselves from the Mexican. We're gonna, yeah, whatever. There's no ships on the map. There's all kind of. I got trade convoys. Trade all these 4,000, 2,569 ships. That's just the United States, by the way. They're not on the map. Nobody complains. Why not? If you want to see the Army, why don't you want to see the Navy? An Army is only good for three things: attacking, or really two things: attacking and defending. That's it. Attack the enemy and defend yourself from the enemy. Guess what the Army does? Now, I admit, and I don't know if we're probably not going to get to see one, but let me see if I can switch to a nation that has a battle going on. Who is this? Who are these people fighting? Wello. I don't even know where Wello is at. Is this Wello? No. Is this Wello? This is a state in Wello. So remember right here, Wello. Okay, we're going to switch to Wello, because I do understand one complaint about the current uh, 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 about the battle system. I really do, uh, because it's not. It's okay. Where, you remember where it's at, boys? Wello, right there it is. We're gonna switch as Wello because we're at war. To arms. Okay, now right here's a front where we got a couple fronts here. And this is an overview of the front. It shows us, hey, we've got a battle going on. I don't want to run. It shows us and them, or these two countries. I don't think either one of them are us. I don't know. Never played down here. I may have to go play sometime. Okay, anyway, and it shows the generals, and it gives you information like that. But when you look at a battle, it's just too hard to see why things are happening. Now, this guy, he's on the defensive. He's beating this guy that's got nine. You can see they give an emblem for the tactic this general used. Where are these emblems at? That so I can look at a list, so I don't have to hover over every single time and find out what it is. Like, what is this? This is he tried the offensive guy tried rapid advance, and he had an offensive nine, a defensive 14. Makes sense that he lost. He had more troops. You can see their morale is not that good. And you go in and you can see more details. But honestly, it's just too hard to find out. Okay, I've got a general with 80 troops. He's fighting a battle with 10. Why? What happened? Now you can see this guy. He's got morale damage protection, which means his morale does not go down. By the way, morale is extremely important in this game. It's a major thing. Armies will retreat because of morale before they'll retreat because of anything else. So, so why do I need to see troops marching from here to here, knowing I have no control over him, knowing the roads don't matter? This is not a tactical simulation. This is a very overview strategic simulation. I'm not even sure I'd call it a simulation game. Okay, it's three versus two. Okay, that's what you need to know. Okay, you barely even uh, um, so and if like I said, it needs to be done better. Okay, I don't disagree with that, but the system doesn't need to be scrapped. Just the interface and how we're showing information needs to be better. Trade routes is another one. Um, if I can go in here, we don't, of course, this country doesn't have trade routes, but if we had some, it would show up right here. And it's, I don't like that I have to cancel certain trade routes. I don't have a way of saying, hey, yes, this trade route's unprofitable. Just don't ever tell me about it because I want to keep it going. It'll keep on coming up here and tell me, hey, you've got a bad trade route. Uh, and it's clunky is a great way of saying it. Let's see here some other things. So you can't see troops. That just kind of come on, whatever. One complaint I've had is, or I've seen is, well, it's not historical enough. Uh, I haven't seen a Paradox game yet that's historical. That's number one. There is some flavor scripting that could be done better. Uh, in 1.03, the release that was like a week ago, remember, it's way too easy just to circumvent and get out of doing the American Civil War. Just way too easy. Now, if you want a good challenge, get out from underneath the Japanese shogunate. They have done an outstanding job of showing just how difficult it was to remove them from power. Um, so, uh, uh, and yes, there's some, well, this event doesn't happen and this event doesn't happen. That's because this is more of a sandbox. I think that will come in time, but this is far more of a sandbox of just a alternate history. One of the complaints I've seen is, well, the game's not polished. It really wasn't ready for release. I haven't seen a game yet that's been polished. And I'm not talking from Paradox. When's the last time a game came out and didn't have bugs and and came out, and it was just, man, it's great, perfect the way it is. It doesn't happen in our modern environment. Um, does this game need some tweaks? Yes, the trade UI interface needs tweaks. I just said the war screen needs work. A lot of these things, they do need work, but it's an awfully fun game. I've just got through doing Japan a couple times. I'm gonna, I want to go back in and see did any changes they make in 1.04 and uh, uh, help them make it where you have to fight the American. One things I said that I don't like this. I claim Mexico. When you get around here and start playing the United States, well, I'm going to claim all of Colorado and Nevada and California and Texas. And let's say I said I want California first. Mexico just back down. Okay, you can have California. And well, wait, I wanted them all. And then you have to wait 5 years and do it again, and they'll back down. So you have to wait 5 years and do it again. There's no way of, okay, stopping it and saying, no, you don't understand Mexico. I want them all. Another thing I don't like is currently in the game. Let's say I'm as you playing as the United States, go to war with Mexico. I say, hey, I want California. Once the war starts, I have no way of saying, well, hey, wait a minute, while I'm at it, I'm taking Nevada too. You're locked in. Don't like that. But a lot of the hate from this game, a lot of the hate of this game comes from people not understanding how to play it, people say, wanting the way Victoria 2 did things and believing, well, that's the only way it could be done. And since it wasn't done that way, this game must be bad because you can't do what you did that way. You can do it, you just have to do it a different way in this game. And some of it is just I didn't get my way. And since I didn't get my way, the game's bad. Um, I may try a limited let's play. I'm not a streamer.